Hello and welcome to the eCommerce podcast. My name is Matt Edmundson and it is great to be with you on Thanksgiving Day. If you're listening to this the day it is released or watching this on YouTube. So happy Thanksgiving, which I appreciate is a bit odd for me to say sitting here in the UK where we really don't do Thanksgiving. And I've always thought, well, actually, that's a bit of a shame, actually. I like the idea of having a day set aside to pause and to be thankful. That feels like something we could all benefit from, right? So what can we learn from this in e-commerce? Because there's this really crazy tension happening right now, isn't there? Whilst American families are gathering around tables to be intentionally grateful, the rest of the world in e-commerce, especially our online businesses, are gearing up for the most transactional 96 hours of the year. We have Black Friday, we have Cyber Monday, we have this sort of hyper consumerism that is the complete opposite of Thanksgiving, it seems. It's all about the sale, isn't it, online? The conversion, the revenue numbers, how much we can get from customers in this sort of short weekend or few weeks if you've been doing it maybe like how I suggested you do it a few weeks ago. And I get it, right? We've all been there. These 4 days can literally make or break your year in e-commerce. And if I'm honest, let me just be really honest. I'm genuinely grateful for all the sales that are coming in at the time of recording and also over the Black Friday weekend. I find it exciting. I find this whole thing exhilarating. I really do. I really enjoy it. But I do wonder if we're missing something. I wonder if I just need to stop and pause on Thanksgiving Day and think about what's going on amongst all this chaos. Now, I truly believe that businesses that win in the long term aren't the ones with the best discounts on Black Friday. But I wonder whether it's the ones that take the sort of time, even just 5 minutes here on Thanksgiving Day, to genuinely appreciate the customers who make their business work. Not just grateful for the sales, but grateful for the humans as well. Like, I try very hard on this show, actually, most weeks to say, listen, thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. I genuinely could not do what I do if you guys didn't listen to the show, right? I couldn't do it. I'm grateful for you guys. You listen to the show, you write in, you tell me your stories, you come join me in cohort, you've signed up to thousands of people on the newsletter, and it's wonderful and enables me to do what I do and keep delivering what I do. But I am very aware that it's all because you guys are listening or watching the show, right? So got to be grateful for the people that make things happen. Happy Thanksgiving. So let me tell you a little bit about this. And let's talk about this. Let me talk about Barbaritos, which is a great place to start. It's actually a great place to grab a burrito here in the UK. It's like a little mini restaurant chain. I quite like it. I quite like the food. If I'm honest, it's simple. It's easy. I know what I'm getting, right? And I appreciate if you're like me, you're going to have your regular go-to sort of lunch spots yourself. And Barbaritos just happens to be one of mine. And one of the things I like about Barbaritos is I get my 10th burrito for free. They have this sort of, get your 10th one free, like a reward type thing going on. And it's automatic and it is entirely predictable, right? I just scan my app and it is done. I know it's coming because that's how that loyalty scheme works, right? And, it's okay. But you know what I feel when I get my 10th burrito? If I'm honest, not a whole great deal. That's not quite true. If I'm honest, I probably, if I'm truthful, feel entitled to it, right? Because I've upheld my end of this deal. I have purchased the previous 9 burritos, so I should get the 10th one for free. This is the whole purpose of this loyalty scheme. And if they didn't give it to me, well, I'd be annoyed. I would not be happy, as they say. So I do like the food. I do love Barbaritos. Part of me is grateful for that scheme, but I think I'm entitled to it because they do it. It's just the way those kind of loyalty schemes works. Now, if I compare that experience, and I'm a regular at Barbaritos, a few years ago, on Emirates, the airline, they upgraded me to first class for no reason whatsoever. There was no buy 9 flights, get your 10th upgrade to first class or whatever it was. There was no reason. There was no expectation. Just the person at the gate tearing up my ticket and giving me a new one, just saying thanks for flying with us. And that was 5 years ago. And I'm still talking about it, right? Now, both times I technically got something for free, but they elicited completely different emotional responses from me. And if you're like me and you run an e-commerce business, which I'm assuming what you're doing, listening to this show, then understanding why that elicit different responses for me, why that happened and why that difference matters, I think could be one of the simplest ways to increase your repeat purchase rate and your referral rate simultaneously. Right? So let's get into it, shall we? Especially when everyone is focused at this precise point in time on acquisition. Everyone's eyes are on it. And if you're listening to this show on Thanksgiving Day, it's probably too late if you've not done that. But it's never too late for gratitude and to be thankful. Now, you might be thinking, Matt, surely there's more to it than just saying thank you, right? Surely this is a podcast where you're not going to spend 20 minutes just telling me to say thank you. And here's the thing, right? Because I think this is what I see. It's what I appreciate is going on for you, for us in our office, in our e-commerce business. We're always out looking for the latest killer tactic. It's one of the reasons I love doing this show. I'm super grateful for you, the listener, but I'm grateful for all the experts we get on the show. I get to talk to them. I get to pick their brains. I get to talk about the new software, the perfect loyalty scheme structure. Should we give a discount code? Should we do something else? What's the optimal reward level? How can we gamify the experience? I get to ask all of these questions to some of the leading experts in the world, which is a great way for me to learn, if I'm going to be honest with you. But are we missing, like I say, this idea of just saying thank you, something really simple? And this, because I knew this episode was coming out on Thanksgiving, I really wanted to think about this. And I've spent the last few weeks being sort of totally captivated again by the topic, if I'm honest with you. I've been reading through research on customer gratitude. I mean, proper academic stuff, neurochemistry, behavioral psychology, case studies with actual numbers attached to them, trying to find the data behind something that I think we all know intuitively is true, right? So companies that regularly express genuine appreciation to customers outperform their competitors by a staggering 23% in profitability. 23%, all because they regularly express appreciation. And we know, just by doing the numbers and the maths, right, that a 5% increase in customer retention can lead to a 75% increase in profitability. That's the commercial reality of gratitude. Fundamentally, we get bigger numbers, which is a beautiful thing. And here's the thing about Thanksgiving, right, that I find fascinating. It is literally a day, isn't it, when in America they are culturally allowed and even encouraged, dare I say, to pause the hustle and to just be grateful. No strings attached, no ROI calculations, just gratitude, just being grateful. And then, like I say, Black Friday arrives and we immediately revert to this sort of transactional mode. But what if we didn't flip back? What if that gratitude that clearly leads to bigger numbers isn't just for the day, isn't just for Thanksgiving, but actually became how we operated our businesses? And this is why I've become captivated about it again. It captured me several years ago, and it sort of reignited something in me, knowing that this episode was coming out now, because the challenge isn't whether gratitude works, right? It genuinely isn't. The challenge is more about, are we doing it the right way, or are we doing it wrong? And I think with AI, I think with automation and all the tools that we have, I just wonder if we've automated it to the point of exhaustion, whether we've turned gratitude, can I say it, into a transaction, and wondered why maybe it's not created the connection that we're hoping for. And like I say, I've been thinking about this. I've been making lots of notes. And I think there are 3 levels of gratitude. There's definitely more. But I've sort of summarized it to 3 levels. I've even come up with a Ponzi name for it, the gratitude spectrum. Oh, you got to love naming things, right? So level number 1 is where there is no appreciation whatsoever. And I think this is where most e-commerce businesses live typically most of the time, especially around this time of the year, because everything's in a rush, right? And everything's just like, let's get it out the door. And so it's more transactional. It's more sort of functional, if you like. Your order number 827364 has been shipped, is the sort of the limit of the thank you. Thank you for your order. Your order has been shipped. It's not rude, but it's really nothing. When you look at, you're not being rude, but there's no appreciation, is there? So level 1 is just, it's not there. Level 2 is where I think we try and get to a lot because we know we should be more grateful, but we're too busy in many ways, right? So we then automate it. And level 2 is all about automated appreciation. And this is where things like the Barbaritos loyalty scheme live. Scan the app, bish, bash, bosh, the till figures it out, no dramas, right? Buy 9, get your 10th free. It's sort of automated. We get the automated thank you emails, point systems, tiered reward programs, those kind of things, just automated stuff, really. It's better than nothing. It's better than level 1, obviously. But I think what interests me about automated appreciation is, on one hand, it saves me time. But on the other hand, I think it has huge diminishing returns. Because like I say, I think over time it creates entitlement rather than gratitude. Like when I think about that 10th burrito, and I am starting to get hungry now, it does become expected. And if you don't get it, like I say, you get annoyed. And if you do get it, the first time you're like, this is cool. The second time you're like, that's cool. The third time you get it, you're just like, yeah, it's whatever. It's just what I expect, right? And so I think the automation removes this sort of perception of free will. And it becomes a contractual obligation rather than a gift, which is where I think Barbaritos will probably find themselves right now. It'd be very hard to take it away. And research shows that gratitude is heightened when customers perceive your actions as discretionary rather than obligatory. Get the word right. And I think that's the key insight here. It's like, you can actually be giving less, but be perceived to be giving more. And this is where I think level 3 comes in. Okay. So we've gone from nothing to automated to level 3, which I think is what I would call personal gratitude. And this is where Emirates, for me, lived. It was a personal thing done by a member of their staff who probably had the authority to do it and transformed the whole experience for me. It's where things like handwritten notes live. And yes, I still get them with some of the e-commerce packages I get sent to me. Because I think, and I remember them and I like them because that's where real human connection happens, isn't it? So personal gratitude, I think, compounds over time rather than diminishes over time. And that's the crucial bit, right? It compounds, it doesn't diminish. And I don't think it has to be expensive, but I do think it has to be genuine. It has to feel like someone actually cared enough to do something they didn't have to do. And I wonder if that's the insight, right? We're all sort of missing, obsessing over our Black Friday conversion rates. So let me tell you where I figured this out initially was in a beauty business that we ran. Okay. And we moved the business from Jersey, which is where it ran, over to the UK. And when we did, we shifted our entire business model. Now, if you've been a regular to the show, you may have heard me talk about this a little bit before. This is where we shifted our model to a more customer service sort of centric model, which when you actually think about it means finding more ways, more creative ways, more authentic and genuine ways to say thank you. Right? So we did the handwritten notes. We noticed when customers purchased from us multiple times, and we would reach out to them and we'd say, hey, thanks for being part of the journey. Thanks for buying from us. We're just a small business. We appreciate you guys coming along. We allocated actually a budget of about £50. I guess that's about $70 to every member of staff in the warehouse and in the customer service team. And they could use them they could use that money towards what we called SMOCs, SMOC SMOCs, right? It means sexy moments of customer service. I don't know where that name came from, but I quite liked it. And it obviously came from somewhere, these SMOCs. And so they could spend that money on a customer without any authorization. They did not need to go to a line manager or anything. They had this budget. They could spend it just to create moments that mattered for our customers, to create these sexy moments of customer service. I would quite often go to the warehouse, just pick out random orders and drop in a note saying, hey, it's Matt here. I run the company. Just wanted to drop you a little line saying, I really appreciate you being a customer of this company. By the way, here's my personal email. If you ever need anything, I would love to hear from you, right? Now, you might think that sounds risky, giving customers your direct email, but it definitely wasn't. Some customers would email me, right? And it was great. They would email me and say, hey, thanks. It's really kind of you to do that. And I would just email them back going, listen, really appreciate you being part of the business, and start a conversation and find out what made them tick. But you know what happened, right? Quite often they would email our customer service team to say, can you tell Matt, thanks. I just didn't want to bother him directly, but I thought it was really cool that he put that little note in there, which I thought was quite fascinating. And that's the thing about gratitude, isn't it? It doesn't create, I don't think, entitlement. Genuine gratitude doesn't create entitlement. I think what it does is it creates an almost reverent appreciation. And over a period of time, sort of like I say, 12 to 18 months, our overall turnover increased by 20%, which may or may not sound like a lot to you, but for us, 20% was worth millions at the time. And our repeat purchase rate shot up above 40%, which was well above the average for our industry. And it didn't stop there, and it kept on growing. We did, ironically, still makes me laugh, we did ironically get a complaint from a customer who said that we were being too thankful and rah, that sort of wasn't appreciating the new language and the way we were doing things, which I thought was quite funny. Some people just are going to complain. You definitely can't please everybody all the time, but it did make me laugh. Maybe they're addicted to complaining. But what I did learn about gratitude, though, was that it actually works. Authentic gratitude has a significant impact on your bottom line. But here's the thing, right? It's got to be consistent. And I think it's also got to be costly to you in some way to give that thanks, whether that's time or money or attention. And I think you give it in a way that doesn't have any expectation of direct return. And I would also suggest that you culturally embed it into your business and don't just use it as a tactic. I think people see through that. I think I'm not trying to disparage my American cousins. I love the Americans, lived there, thought it was great, still think it's great. But probably in some sectors, I think that the gratitude given has become insincere. Let me put it that way. It's just said for the sake of being said. We all get the emails, right? I get 20 emails a day saying, really enjoyed the podcast. It was great in this episode when you're talking to this person, and you read the email going, there's no way you said that or think that. I think AI has gone through and written this email for you just so I buy your software or whatever it is you're trying to sell me, right? So I think there's that insincere gratitude, which is, I think, a tactic, and it works. Don't get me wrong. It's not my bag, if I'm honest with you. And I think culturally embedding gratitude, like giving your staff the ability to do things without you being involved, whether that's a budget or time or whatever, that's culturally embedding. And one company that's been talked about a lot recently, especially on LinkedIn, I've seen this a couple of times. Jimmy Kim, if you follow Jimmy Kim on LinkedIn, a shout out to Jimmy, great guy, from the Awesome podcast. He talked about this as well. Five Guys, if you've ever been to Five Guys, they sell expensive burgers, really expensive smash burgers. And they're okay. I mean, I think I do better, but they're okay. But when you buy fries, right, it doesn't matter whether you buy the small, medium, or large, they'll put the small cup, fill it full of fries, they'll put it in the bag, but then they'll also put in the bag another scoop of fries, right? So when you open it, you go, goodness me, I've got a lot of fries in the bag. Cost them millions annually to do this. They never mention it in their marketing. They never promise it. They just do it. And that's cultural. That's not tactical. But I think, maybe it is tactical. It definitely brings people back, but it's certainly cultural as well. And I think that's the difference between Thanksgiving gratitude and sort of dare I say, a Black Friday thankful tactic, right? One's genuine, one's transactional. So how do we actually implement this in our business, right? Here's my suggestion. Here's what I'm going to suggest you do, because it's what we do, right? And it seems to work. It's what we do with clients. Start by auditing every single touch point in your business. And what do I mean by that? I'm talking about every interaction your customer has with your company. So wherever a customer or a potential customer interacts with your company, that's a touch point. It may be your ads, it may be social media, it's going to be your website, your homepage, your About Us page, your checkout process, your thank you page. There's the order confirmation email, the shipping notification email, the actual package when it comes into their hands, all the follow-up emails, right? These are all touch points. These are all times when your customers or your potential customers interact with you. So what you have to do is, I think, write down all of those touch points. Now, to save you doing this, I've written down like 95% of them for 95% of the businesses in this week's freebie, which you can get. I'll explain a little bit more about it in a minute, but it is in there. Okay, if you want to save yourself a bit of time, but you're going to want to think about all the touch points that people have with your business. Write every single one of them down. And at each one of those touch points, you want to look at that and go, how do I show gratitude here? Right? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Is this automated? Is it personal? Is it diminishing? Is it growing in terms of what it's doing for the business and what I'm doing for the client? How's that working? Now, obviously, there may not be gratitude at every single point. But for you and your business, there'll be at least probably one or two really key, crucial points where if you injected some gratitude, it's going to have a huge impact on your business. So for Five Guys, it was just literally, let's just throw a few more fries in the bag, right? What is that moment for you? Now, your thank you page, I love the fact we call it a thank you page, because quite often the thank you page on an e-commerce website just literally says thank you. Even the URL says thank you. But that's all it does say is just thank you. Just one word. Thank you for your order, whatever it was, 827364. And I think most businesses waste this opportunity. Like 100% of your customers are going to see that thank you or for your order page, right? And so do something a bit creative there. I like to put like a video on our site. At the moment, I think we've got one where Jen, who's our head of marketing, and I or just chatting away, just saying, hey, thanks. Really appreciate you buying from us as a company, explaining what's going to happen next, and inviting people into the journey that we're trying to go on. Super simple, very, very effective. People watch it. People get to know us. It's great. The thank you text is still there, but we're trying to be a bit more creative, be a bit more imaginative, both in our text and the videos. Another area where you can do this that I've seen work super well is going to be your shipping notification emails. Your order is just shipped. There are 2 emails which are going to get opened pretty much every time you send them. And one of those is your just shipped email. The other one's the order confirmation, right? And most businesses just fill them with tracking links and nothing else. And I think, well, there's another wasted opportunity. Can I do something at that touch point? Can I send a photo maybe of the person in the warehouse who picked their order? Maybe that person's holding up a sign with a customer's name on it, or they're holding that box that they're going to ship out with a thumbs up, just saying, hey, thanks for supporting our business. This is what we do. Thanks for trusting us with your money. It's not complicated to do, right? Handwritten notes are obvious ones. They don't have to be novels. I'm a big fan of handwritten notes. Hygiene, hygiene. I just realized saying that out loud. I'm not talking about personal hygiene. Hygiene. Notice this is your 3rd order. Really appreciate you trusting us. Thanks again. It doesn't take but 20 seconds to write that. So give your team permission to be grateful as well. If it's just you be grateful. If you have a team, give them permission. The Smocks budget we did was one of the best decisions we ever made. It was messy. It was, the accountants didn't really like it because where are the invoices, where are the receipts? But it just worked really well for our customers, right? Super grateful we actually did that. Because when warehouse staff recognize a customer's name, because, they do, don't they? I mean, you think about people in the warehouse, they're picking and packing orders. They get to know people's names. They get to see them. They get to see where they live. They don't know these people, but they feel like they're starting to at least connect with them because they see them. And they don't need a system to remind them to add something to the box, whether it's a note or a gift. They could just do that because the people that are picking and packing care, and maybe we can connect them a little bit. And so it becomes more than just, I'm shipping out this box. And, Jean is for her, it's more than she's just getting a box, but Tony's picked and packed that thing, right? And this, I think, is what I'd call cultural gratitude, not just tactical gratitude, because that means it has to become part of your business, right? So I've done a lot of reading around gratitude recently. But and like I've said before, implementation is not the same. Information is not the same as implementation, right? So reading about it is one thing, implementing it is another. So there's some more examples from businesses that do this well. I'm going to share them with you. And again, I want to be super clear before I give you these examples. I want this to serve as idea generation for you, to help you think creatively. This is not a checklist you have to copy. You certainly don't have to do all of them. I just want them to prompt you and maybe you'll pick out 1 or 2 things that work super well for your business. So there's a website called Chewy, which is aimed at pet owners. They include handwritten, heartfelt notes to pet owners. Simple gesture, but it's contributed 14.7%. I mean, how they measured that. 14.7% sales growth and 20% profit growth for a handwritten note. There you go, right? So they're not just selling pet food, are they? They're in effect, they're connecting with people and their love for pets, and they're doing that with these handwritten notes. So would handwritten notes work for you, for your business, or would it feel forced? I don't know, right? Warby Parker had their general counsel send a customer who lost their glasses 2 replacement pairs, a book, and a handwritten note. It was a complete surprise, and the customer posted about it on social media. And guess what? It went viral. No one could have predicted that. One act of generosity and thankfulness created a lifetime customer, and probably hundreds of new ones with the fact that this whole thing went viral. So could someone on your team have the discretion to do something unexpectedly generous when they see an opportunity to bless somebody. We've talked about Five Guys and Barbaritos, and I am definitely getting hungry. But I'm just amazed at the simple gesture of the extra fries. They did calculate how much it cost them, millions. But it gets them way more back, right? Like if they stopped doing it, they'd save whatever it is, 2 or 3 million a year. But I bet you they'd lose that in sales, in free marketing, in customers talking about it constantly, Jimmy Kim posting about it on LinkedIn. Even Rory Sutherland was talking about it. I saw him talking about it the other day. So all this publicity generated, amazing, really. So is there something small that you could consistently over-deliver on without making a big deal about it? I think that's a really great question, isn't it? Now, some businesses optimize their thank you page with complimentary product recommendations, referral program invitations, with just a genuine video saying thanks. Like I say, almost 100% of your customers are going to see that page. So what could you do? What could your thank you page become if you treated it as an opportunity rather than just, I'm just going to use the Shopify blank template thing that they give me because I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it, right? Have a think about that. And one thing that surprised me actually in the research was, and again, I think I intuitively knew this, but when things go wrong, sincere gratitude during that time, right? So not only dealing with the problem, why it's gone wrong, but sincere gratitude creates more loyal customers than if nothing had gone wrong at all. That's a remarkable opportunity when things go wrong. Express some gratitude and create a more loyal customer, right? A genuine apology accompanied by a small gesture of appreciation can easily transform disappointment into advocacy. That is insane and powerful and useful, right? And like I say, the point isn't to do all of these. We have a business, for example, where we talk about sustainability. So just throwing free gifts into the box, actually, that's going to create lots of complaints because, well, people don't always want those if their whole ethos is sustainability, right? It's just like, it's waste. It's more stuff. I didn't ask for this stuff. Why are you sending me this stuff? And so what's your business? What do your customers want? How could you be grateful in an authentic way to your customers, and pick 1 or 2 things that you think are going to work and things that you can do consistently. Remember the 2 coaching questions, right? What can I consistently hit an 8 out of 10 doing? It's that whole consistency. How can you do that? So then it's not just a tactic because someone's told you to do it. This is actually a way of life for your business. We just want to embed into our culture, into the values of our business, gratitude, just to say thank you and to say it a lot, to make our customers feel valued. And I think they can tell the difference, can't they, customers, between genuine gratitude and, like I say, this sort of insincere, tactical, performance-based gratitude, maybe, might I say it? I think they can. Now, I hope this is helpful. You might still be thinking, well, this sounds nice, Matt, but does it, going back to the coaching question, does it actually move the needle when you're drowning in orders from your Black Friday weekend? Well, I hopefully have proven that it has, with some very daring stats. Now, when customers feel genuinely appreciated, and this is where where the research I found really helpful, deep diving into this, because to try and understand why, right? So when somebody feels genuinely appreciated, whether it's your customer, a member of your team, a supplier, your partner, your spouse, whatever, dopamine gets released in their brain. That's the reward hormone, okay? Oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone, also gets released. Serotonin, the happiness hormone, that's involved as well. So the brain's releasing all kinds of really good stuff, right? It's not soft psychology. This is like proper brain neuroscience that we can take advantage of in many ways. So customers who feel appreciated are less likely to shop for the lowest price next time. This is quite fascinating. They're also more likely to refer friends. They are more likely to buy again. They're more likely to leave positive reviews, and they're more likely to post on social media without you asking, or because you've been thankful, right? And then what happens is we go into what I call the RR measure, the referability and repeatability idea. We'll talk more about this in future episodes, I'm sure. But what tends to happen here then is the repeat customers move down this sort of scale, which I have, and they start to become your brand evangelists. Not because, or not just because of product quality, let me just clarify that, or because you gave 30% off, but because of how you made them feel. After they'd already said yes to buying from you, right? It's that emotion. How did you make them feel? And so in the beauty business I mentioned, where we had that great growth, we weren't doing anything revolutionary. It was, I mean, when you looked at it, it was pretty simple. You're like, how did that equate to that? Because the product stayed the same. The delivery time stayed the same. So what were we doing that's different? Actually, our prices went up. Oh, okay. And actually, we focused on service, and we just focused on being genuinely grateful consistently without expecting an immediate payback, just because it was the right thing to do. And the business transformed. That's all a bit interesting, isn't it? And if I think about my own buying habits online, there are a couple of sites that I buy from, not all the time, but if I need stuff that they sell, I'll go to them. Like there's a few stationery websites like Hunter Paper Company. I don't even know where they're best. hunterpaperco.com, I think, is a URL. They're great. Send little handwritten notes when I order my journals from those guys. Paper Republic in Austria, they do the same, some lovely little handwritten notes. And it's just literally 1 or 2 sentences. Nothing earth-shattering, but I remember them. I can't tell you what they said on them. I just remember them. I remember the way I felt when I got them. And so I always, if I buy gifts, I'll go to Paper Republic. I'll go to Hunter Paper Co. and is there anything relevant on that? I mean, to be fair, if I'm buying gifts, I'm probably going to use our new 7-Year site, but that's another story. But you see what I mean? When it comes to stationery, I'm talking about these guys on the podcast. They're not huge corporations with massive budgets. They're actually, as far as I can tell, quite small businesses. But they understand a fundamental aspect, I think, of human nature, that personalization, just being grateful, right? Oh. And this is especially true this time of year because businesses are just treating everybody else like a transaction number, right? You've got a real opportunity to do this well. And this is why I wanted to get this episode out today. I appreciate you've got to make it through the weekend. And I hope you do. And if you're listening to this post-weekend, I hope it went for you brilliantly and well. But is there something here that's a bit of an unlock for you in this idea of gratitude? Yes, you're going to be overwhelmed. Black Friday weekend is properly full on, isn't it? And maybe me adding just be more grateful to your to-do list might not feel like, a blessing. It might be one more thing that you just don't have time for. But genuinely, you're already sending out the order confirmations. You're already shipping the products. You're already creating the packing slips. You're already doing all of these things. Those touch points already exist, whether you optimize them or whether you don't. So why not use them to build relationships, long-term relationships with your customers, and not just process transaction? Okay. That's my challenge for you this Thanksgiving. Okay. Take 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes, and just think about, 3 or 4 customers by name. If you need to, just go and pick some random customers that purchase from you over the weekend. Actual people though, but write them a quick email separate to all the order confirmation stuffs, or write them a handwritten note to go into there, or just express your gratitude to them for being a customer. You don't need to give them a discount code. You don't need to do the upsell. Just genuine, lovely appreciation. Do what you can and actually see how it makes you feel. Because if you're having a bad day, I tell you, there's definitely some worth in you sitting down for half an hour writing some thank you notes to clients and just being genuinely grateful, it will transform how you feel, right? It's not just for your customers. Just putting that out there, especially if you're leading the business. And then figure out a way to do that consistently, not just this weekend, not just on Thanksgiving, but how do you get that to be part of your business? How do you get that to be part of the culture of your business? And like I said, we've this month's freebie, we've called it the Touchpoint Gratitude Audit, the TGA. We love the naming conventions we have here. It's literally a simple table where you map every customer interaction and brainstorm how to show more genuine appreciation at each point. And in the download, which you can get on the website at ecommercepodcast.com/resource, or just click the resources link. It will take you there and look for the gratitude audit. Download that, because I've also included for you 2 or 3, I can't remember whether it's 2 or 3 different examples for different business types at different scales on how to make it work for them. So I've used examples from the skincare company, the supplement brand, and the gift company, showing exactly what personal gratitude looks like at each of those touch points. So like I say, you can get that freebie. That'll be super helpful for you. And it will just help you to brainstorm and find those sort of 1 or 2 key things that you can do. Plus, I think we're going to throw in there, because I'm recording this before we've made the freebie, so I don't want to overcommit, because it's not like it's not a busy time of the year. But we'll throw in there some templates for the handwritten notes. Again, not because you need to copy the templates. Genuinely, you don't. Part of me sometimes thinks you're better off without them. Just write from the heart. But hopefully it's going to prompt you, right? And we'll throw some of those extra things in there in the freebie as well. So you can grab that completely free on the website. We'll put a link in the description. If you're watching this on YouTube, there'll be a link in the description. If you're listening to it on the podcast, we'll put the link in the show notes as well. Just go and get it. And hopefully that's going to help you and see what you can implement. Because like I say, remember this, gratitude is not a tactic. It is a posture. It is a heart thing. And when that is done authentically, it creates really interesting results in your repeat customer rate and in your referral rate that I think no 30% discount could ever actually come close to. Now, I mentioned at the start that we don't actually do Thanksgiving here in the UK, which, like I said, is a bit of a shame. But maybe we should just create our own version, not the turkey and the family gathering, though I'm all for, family gatherings. It's always nice to hang out with the family, but just with the intentional pause to be grateful. So who are you grateful for today? What are you grateful for in your business, with your customers, your team, your suppliers? What are you grateful for? I'm grateful for the customers who keep coming back. I'm grateful for the team members who pack our orders with care and who do the marketing, everyone involved in the business. I'm so grateful every day. I wake up and I thank God for the businesses that I get to run. It is a real joy. It is a real pleasure and a real treat. And I do think the commercial success follows the gratitude, not the other way around. I don't think you have to be successful to be grateful, but I think you do have to be grateful in order to be successful. So just my 2 penneth on this Thanksgiving Day. And like I say, super grateful for you guys, grateful for you listening to the end of the show, which we are now reaching. I don't know if you've noticed, actually, on the episodes where we do the recording with an expert, with a guest, we do this thing now called saving the best till last, because we're aware that actually a handful of people do wait around to the end. And so we say to the guests, give us your best top tip right at the end for those that make it. And so if you haven't done so, make sure you listen always to the end of the shows, because that gold is just wonderful. It really is. And like I say, just a little gift, a little thing that we do for those of you that hang around to the end. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for all of your support. I do wish you every success over this weekend and leading up to the Christmas holiday. And if no one's told you yet today, let me be the first. Love this. You are awesome. Yes, you are. Created awesome. It's just a burden you have got to bear. I've got to bear it. You've got to bear it. We've all got to bear it. That's it from me. Have a phenomenal week wherever you are in the world. I'll see you next time. Happy Thanksgiving and bye for now.